Welcome to the world of science fiction story, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the channel. Enjoy the listening. Tom stepped off the shuttle onto the vibrant streets of Zelia's capital city, his eyes wide with the dazzling array of lights and the hum of alien technology all around him. The air was filled with the scents of exotic spices and the sounds of a civilization that was as bustling as it was advanced. Despite being surrounded by such foreign wonders, Tom carried an air of composed excitement typical of a linguist about to dive into a completely new language and culture. As he made his way through the crowd, a figure approached him, her movement fluid and almost floating on the illuminated pavements. She was Zora, the Zorian anthropologist who'd been assigned to assist him with his work on the ancient texts. Her skin shimmered with a natural luminescence that made her stand out even in the busy city. "Welcome to Zoria, Tom." "I'm Zora," she greeted, extending a hand that slightly glowed at the fingertips. Tom shook her hand, feeling the cool, smooth texture of her skin. "It's a pleasure to meet you, Zora. I've been looking forward to this collaboration. I hope your journey was comfortable." "Zorian transport can be unsettling for first-timers," Zara said with a gentle smile. "It was fascinating, actually. I've never traveled at such speeds," Tom replied, his enthusiasm palpable. They began walking towards the university where Tom would be working. Along the way, Zora pointed out various landmarks and cultural sites. The city was a blend of high technology and rich tradition, which fascinated Tom. "So what brings a human linguist all the way to Zoria?" Zara asked, genuinely curious about his motives. Tom chuckled. "Well, the opportunity to study Zorian script firsthand is something no linguist would pass up. Plus, the chance to work with someone as knowledgeable as you is quite the bonus." Zara laughed lightly. "Flattery is quite universal, isn't it? But thank you. I'm equally eager to learn from you. Your insights on human linguistics are invaluable." As they approached the grand facade of the university, another figure joined them. He was Dr. Henrik, a fellow human and a historian specializing in galactic civilizations. Henrik was an older man with a keen eye hidden behind thick glasses. "Tom, good to see you made it," Henrik boomed, clapping Tom on the shoulder. "And you must be Zora. We're very fortunate to have your expertise." "Thank you, Dr. Henrik. I believe our collaboration will be quite fruitful," Zara responded, nodding her head respectfully. The trio entered the university, a stunning structure that mixed organic designs with cutting-edge architecture. As they walked through the halls, they discussed their project's goals. "Our main challenge," Tom began, "will be deciphering the contextual nuances of the ancient texts. Zorian script is notoriously complex," Zora noted. "Indeed it is. The texts you are here to study are some of the oldest we have. They predate our current understanding of our own history." "And what's your take on this, Henrik?" Tom asked, turning to his colleague. Henrik adjusted his glasses, pondering. "History is written by the victors, as they say. Understanding the true essence of these texts might well change our perception of your people's past, Zora." The conversation deepened as they reached their workspace, a large room lined with data screens and ancient artifacts. As they settled in, Tom felt a surge of excitement. "This is going to be an incredible journey," Tom said, looking around the room filled with potential discoveries. Zara smiled, sharing his enthusiasm. "Let's make history then, shall we?" Their laughter echoed in the room as they began to unpack their equipment, ready to start their joint venture into the mysteries of an ancient alien civilization. In the university's dedicated linguistics lab, the air was filled with the soft hum of machinery and the rustle of ancient parchment. Tom and Zara, alongside a new addition to their team, Dr. Alex Ryder, a human cognitive scientist, sat around a large holographic display showing intricate Zorian script. "So this script here," Tom pointed at a looping glyph on the screen, "suggests something ceremonial, right?" Zara leaned in, her eyes scanning the hologram. "Yes, exactly. This is often used to denote a rite of passage. It's fascinating how similar it is to human rights. Alex, who had been taking notes, chimed in. It's not just the script, it's the shared notion of significant life events being marked through language. How do Zorians typically celebrate these rites? With a thoughtful nod, Zara began explaining, her hands gracefully mimicking the symbols as she spoke. Each rite involves music, dance, and a recitation of vows. It's a communal affirmation of one's journey through different life stages. Tom was quick to draw parallels. It's like many human cultures, then. We have something similar with sweet 16 parties, bar mitzvahs, or even graduation ceremonies. Alex looked intrigued. The universality of such practices could suggest a cognitive pattern we share across species. Maybe it's an innate need to formalize transitions. As the discussion delved deeper into cultural parallels, Henrik, who had been quietly observing, added, "What if we organize a small cultural exchange, Zara? Perhaps you could demonstrate a Zoran rite, and we could share a human equivalent." Zara's eyes lit up with enthusiasm. "That's a wonderful idea. It would give us a more intuitive understanding of each other's cultures." Tom nodded in agreement. "Let's do it. I think it could really enhance our translation efforts too by giving us more context." The next few days were a whirlwind of preparation. Zara arranged for a demonstration of a Zorian rite of knowledge, a ceremony traditionally held for scholars. In return, Tom decided to organize a small graduation-style ceremony, complete with a makeshift cap and gown. On the day of the cultural exchange, the university's auditorium was filled with curious aliens and the small human contingent from the project. Zara, adorned in traditional ceremonial robes, began the rite. She moved with a graceful solemnity, her voice rising and falling in the ancient cadences of her people's language. After the ceremony, Tom took the stage wearing the traditional cap and gown. He explained the significance of each element, from the cap symbolizing achieved knowledge to the gown, representing the transition from student to scholar. As the ceremonies concluded, the atmosphere was one of mutual respect and fascination. The audience, both Zoran and human, applauded enthusiastically. Afterward, in a quieter corner of the auditorium, Tom and Alex discussed the day's events with Zara. "That was incredibly moving, Zara," Tom said sincerely. "Seeing your traditions like that, it's clear how much we can learn from each other." Zara smiled. "And I was equally touched by your graduation ceremony. There's a solemnity to it that resonates deeply with us." Alex added, "This exchange has provided valuable insights. I think understanding the emotional and cognitive underpinnings of these rites could greatly inform our broader research." As the group walked back to the lab, their conversation lingered on the many layers of meaning they had uncovered, not just in the words they studied, but in the very act of sharing their cultures. The project was no longer just about translation. It was about building bridges. Back in the linguistics lab, Tom, Zara, and the newly arrived Dr. Marcus Lee, a specialist in human-alien relational dynamics, gathered around a cluttered table strewn with notes and digital tablets. The air was thick with anticipation as they prepared to tackle some of the more cryptic segments of the Zorian texts. "So, Marcus, glad you could join us," Tom said, offering a warm handshake. "We could use your expertise in navigating some of these trickier cultural nuances." Marcus, adjusting his glasses, smiled at Zara. "It's a pleasure to finally meet you. I've heard much about your work." Zara responded with a nod. "And I yours, Dr. Lee. I believe your perspective on interspecies relations could be invaluable here." They dove straight into discussion, with Marcus pulling up a series of holograms displaying various symbols and their potential meanings. "This symbol here," Marcus pointed, "seems to resonate with human concepts of taboo. Zara, in your culture, what context might this symbol appear in?" Zara leaned over the display, tracing the symbol with her finger. "This is often used in contexts involving sacred or forbidden knowledge. It's not just a warning. It's a boundary marker." Tom, looking intrigued, made a connection. "Like the human concept of forbidden fruit." "Exactly," Marcus confirmed. It's fascinating to see how universal some themes are, crossing even species lines. The discussion shifted as they explored more symbols, each offering a window into the Zorian worldview. As the session progressed, Zara turned to Tom with a curious expression. "Tom, I've been wondering about something more personal. How do humans deal with attraction and relationships, especially when it comes to different species?" Tom blinked, taken aback by the sudden shift. He glanced at Marcus, who gave a nonchalant shrug, signaling him to go ahead. "Well, it's complicated. Humans value emotional connections often as much as physical ones. There's curiosity, of course, about other species, but real relationships depend on mutual understanding and respect." Zara pondered this. "In Zorian culture, we rarely form relationships outside our species, but personally, I find the human approach quite appealing." Marcus chimed in. "It's about the emotional resonance between beings, regardless of their origin." "Tom, perhaps you could share more about how humans initiate such connections." Seeing an opportunity for a deeper cultural exchange, Tom explained, "Well, it often starts with simple gestures, sharing time together, conversation, sometimes a touch." Intrigued, Zara suggested, "Would it be too forward to ask for a demonstration?" "For scientific purposes, of course." Tom chuckled, his interest piqued by her directness. Sure. We could simulate a typical human date scenario, maybe a dinner." "Excellent idea," Marcus agreed enthusiastically. "It would provide first-hand experience and potentially deepen our cultural understanding." Plans were made quickly. They decided on a small, private dinner the following evening in one of the university's quieter lounges. Tom took the lead in arranging everything, from the menu to the setting, aiming to mirror a typical human date. The next evening, as Zara walked into the softly lit lounge, she found Tom waiting with a nervous smile. The table was set with an array of human-style dishes. As they sat, Tom began. "So, this is pretty standard. We talk, eat, share stories." Zara, her curiosity alight, nodded. "And if one feels an attraction, what then?" Tom, feeling a bit more relaxed, replied, "Well, it might lead to more dates, more sharing, eventually, if the feelings are mutual, to a relationship." The evening unfolded with laughter and insightful conversations about their respective cultures. As they delved into personal territories, the initial academic pretext slowly gave way to genuine interest and connection. Marcus, observing discreetly from a distance, noted the ease with which human and alien interactions could evolve, pondering the implications for his research. As the night drew to a close, Zara expressed her appreciation. "Thank you, Tom. This has been enlightening." Tom smiled, sensing a new depth to their partnership. "Same here, Zara. I think we're on the brink of understanding more than just your ancient texts." The chapter closed on a note of mutual anticipation, the academic blending seamlessly with the personal, paving the way for uncharted intercultural explorations. The evening's revelations had sparked a new curiosity between Tom and Zara, propelling them into deeper conversations about not just their work, but personal beliefs and experiences. The following day, in a quiet corner of the university's lush green gardens, they met to discuss further the human concept of intimacy, a topic Zara found particularly puzzling and intriguing. "Zara, you asked about human intimacy," Tom started, trying to choose his words carefully. "It's a broad term for us, encompassing everything from emotional closeness to physical touch." Zara listened intently, her eyes reflecting a mix of academic interest and personal curiosity. "And is it common to express this intimacy openly?" Tom chuckled softly. "It depends. Emotional intimacy, like sharing personal thoughts and feelings, usually builds up over time. Physical intimacy, like holding hands or hugging, can be more immediate, but it's all about the context and comfort between the individuals involved." Sensing her interest in the nuances, Tom proposed an experiment. "If you're comfortable with it, we could explore these concepts through a series of controlled interactions. It could be useful for your understanding." Zara nodded, her scientific mind intrigued by the proposal. That would be most enlightening. How do we begin? Maybe start with something simple, like a handshake, then perhaps a human greeting hug. We can discuss each step, make it a sort of cultural exchange, Tom suggested, aware of the need to tread carefully due to their differences. Their first experiment began with a handshake, firm and formal. Tom then explained a friendly hug, demonstrating a gentle, brief embrace. Zara reciprocated, her movements slightly hesitant but accurate. "How did that feel?" Tom asked, noting her reaction. "It's warmer than I expected. More comforting," Zara reflected. Zoran greetings are usually more reserved. They continued their session with other common gestures: a pat on the back, a friendly nudge, and sitting closely on a bench. Each step was discussed and analyzed, Zara taking notes on her datapad. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, they delved into more emotionally charged topics. Tom shared stories of his family back on Earth, his aspirations, and some of his fears. Zara listened, occasionally interjecting with questions or comments about Zoran family structures and social norms. "I notice humans often speak of love as a driving force," Zara pondered aloud. "Is it truly so influential?" "It is," Tom affirmed. "Love can motivate incredible actions, inspire art, provoke conflict, and encourage peace. It's complex and powerful." Zara paused, then in a moment of bold curiosity, asked, "Could you show me a typical human expression of romantic affection?" Tom sensed the importance of this request, both for their friendship and their understanding of each other's cultures. "Are you sure?" he asked gently. "Yes, I believe it's crucial for full understanding," Zara replied, her tone a mix of scientific interest and genuine curiosity. Deciding on a safe and respectful demonstration, Tom explained the concept of a kiss. He described the emotional significance behind it and the different types it entailed. "If you're really sure, I could show you a simple, respectful kiss on the cheek," Tom offered, emphasizing her comfort and consent. Zara agreed, and Tom leaned in slowly, giving her a soft, brief kiss on the cheek. He pulled back, watching her reaction closely. Zara touched her cheek, her expression thoughtful. "It's very personal, warm. I can see how it conveys closeness and affection." Their session ended with a deep mutual respect and a better understanding of each other's boundaries and cultural significances. As they walked back to the lab, their conversation lighter now, they both knew they had crossed a delicate line, but had managed to do so with integrity and respect. This session had not only expanded their professional collaboration, but deepened their personal connection in a way that was rare and precious. In the weeks that followed, Tom and Zara's unique blend of cultural exchange deepened into a series of collaborative workshops designed to bridge human and Zorian understandings of intimacy. Dr. Marcus Lee and Dr. Alex Ryder rejoined them, bringing their own insights into the evolving dynamic between Tom and Zara. One cool Zoran evening, the group convened in Zora's elegantly minimalist home to discuss the role of touch in conveying emotions across different species. The living room was set with various sensory stimuli typical in Zorian and human cultures, ranging from textured fabrics to aromatic oils. As humans, our sense of touch is tied deeply to emotional expression, Tom explained, demonstrating by lightly running his fingers over a set of soft, earthy-colored cloths. Something as simple as the texture of a material can evoke memories, comfort, even joy. Zara, intrigued, added her perspective. "Zorians are more visual than tactile. Our emotional connections are often triggered by visual cues rather than physical contact." Marcus, ever the observer, suggested, "Why don't we explore this difference with an experiment? We could use these materials and document our emotional responses based on touch versus sight." Everyone agreed, and they began the session. Alex handed out sheets of paper and pens for notes. They each took turns, blindfolded, experiencing either the touch or the sight of an object, then recording their feelings and thoughts. When it was Tom's turn to guide Zora, he selected a particularly soft fabric known for its comforting properties among humans. As Zora touched the fabric, her blindfold in place, Tom watched her face for any sign of emotion. "This feels calming," Zora remarked, her fingers lingering on the material. "Even without seeing it, there's a warmth to it." Tom nodded, making a note. That's often the intention behind such textures in human settings. As the experiment continued, the group discussed their findings. It was clear that while Zorians responded strongly to visual stimuli, the tactile experience evoked deeper, more nuanced reactions than they expected. The conversation shifted as the evening progressed. Sitting around a low, glowing table, the group shared a light meal, the atmosphere relaxed, but filled with intellectual curiosity. "Tom, could you describe a situation where human touch plays a critical role beyond immediate family?" Marcus asked, eager to delve deeper into human social rituals. Tom thought for a moment, then replied, "Consider a handshake or a hug between friends. These gestures conceal a promise, offer support, or simply serve as a greeting. They're foundational to building trust." "Interesting," Alex mused. "Zara, do Zorians have a similar concept?" Zara, who had been listening intently, shook her head. "Not exactly. Our commitments are usually verbal. Physical expressions are reserved for much closer relationships." As the discussion wound down, Tom proposed a more personal exploration. "Zara, would you be comfortable if we demonstrated a human embrace? Not just a quick hug, but something more sustained to convey deeper support or affection." Zara agreed, intrigued by the proposal. They stood, and Tom gently showed her how to position her arms. When they embraced, it was a careful, measured contact that gradually became more comfortable and natural. "Now breathe," Tom whispered, as per the human custom to relax and connect during the hug. Zara followed his guidance, and after a moment, she relaxed visibly. When they finally stepped back, there was a new understanding in her eyes. This is quite profound," Zara admitted. "It's much more than just physical contact. I feel a security, a connection." Marcus and Alex observed the interaction, noting the potential implications for their studies on interspecies relations. As the night ended and the group parted ways, there was a palpable sense of accomplishment and closeness among them. The experiments had not only provided valuable data, but also deepened the bonds of friendship and respect across their cultural divide. Tom and Zara, in particular, felt a renewed appreciation for the complexity and beauty of their growing relationship, both personal and professional. The success of their intimate experiments led Tom, Zara, Marcus, and Alex to consider a larger stage for their cultural exploration. The upcoming Zorian Festival, an annual celebration of art and history, presented the perfect opportunity. They agreed to participate as both contributors and observers, planning to incorporate human elements into the festival to study public reactions and interactions. On the morning of the festival, the team met at the university to finalize their preparations. Tom brought traditional human musical instruments, while Marcus and Alex gathered visual aids to explain the cultural significance of each item.